My wife, she was fed up, tired. She said she was done. She's ready to move on. I thought that's what she wanted and needed.
If there's a guy watching this where he's just at the point of basically feeling hopeless and tried so many things, but it's just made things worse, what would you tell that guy?
The biggest thing is if
You just got to be coachable.
Men, the admission for today's video is only one thing. Press that like button, but more importantly for you, if you're trying to save your marriage and you want to know how to do it, press the subscribe button and change the settings to all. I don't want you to miss one single video that could actually help you save your marriage.
For anybody that's watching this video, if you don't already know who I am, my name is Griffin, and I run a program called DivorceStoppers that helps men with a lot to lose in their legacy and in their finances, and sometimes even in their health, restore and rebuild their marriage, even if their wife has no interest in coming into the program, because it is a program that we run for men only. The goal is to change the wife, but we start the process of changing the wife to lead her into the life she's supposed to have by teaching the man how to lead the family the right way. Today, I'm with Casey, and Casey is going to share his experience as he walked through the different steps inside the DivorceStoppers program, starting with his own personal life, the paradigm shift that he had with the mind shift change, where he was at in his marriage, where he was at in his life, where he was at in his mind, and as he was taking the steps to transfer in leadership. And one of your favorite sayings is amor fati, whenever the wife actually acts like a woman and walks in the feminine, and giving her the space to do that and responding in a way that makes her feel safe, seen, heard, and valued in the masculine. I appreciate you coming on. Let's just start. Where were you when you booked a call with DivorceStoppers, and what had you tried prior to that gave you some success or not, and maybe what was it about that was or wasn't working?
well, my wife and I had been together 16 years.
Yeah.
She was fed up, tired. She said she was done. She was tired of working on it, and she's ready to move on. About 1 year before I got in the program, we basically decided to work on it, try it again. I did all the wrong things. I thought they were the right things.
What were the wrong things?
I started being really controlling, overbearing, spending way too much time with her, basically having my nose up her ass.
Yeah.
I thought she said she needed, wanted me around more. Well, I was around more, but I was all over, pushy, controlling. Yeah, just at that point in time in my life, I thought that's what she wanted and needed. It was the exact opposite of what she actually needed. And you don't know what you don't know, correct?
So am I right in hearing that you were actually doing a lot of the things that your wife told you that she thought she needed, but she also doesn't know what she doesn't know? And it's very normal for a man that the wife actually says, I want more connection, I'm not happy, you're not around enough. You'd be surprised at the number of men that we get that actually end up quitting their job, or they change careers and they go to a lower paying position or something because they think that the wife really needs more physical presence. And what she oftentimes is meaning, she just doesn't know she's meaning it, is I need you to be present where I feel seen, heard, and valued. Like when I'm standing in front of you, I want to feel like you're aware of it. And she maybe doesn't even understand that's what she's saying. And so it'll manifest in her words where she'll come out and say, you're not around enough. And then we have these men that they're in these other programs, and then they take a much lower paying job. They stop being self-employed. And then it just makes it worse. And it sounds like that's kind of a little bit like what you listened to her words, but you couldn't truly see what she was saying because she didn't know how to put that in her vocabulary, which is very normal.
Yeah. I mean, I would go to the ranch, work hard, go to my other job, work hard. I'd come home. I would just want to relax out on the couch and do nothing. She would say things that I just blew off. Hey, could you do this? Could you do that? Might do it a week later if I did it at all. Now I understand how those little things are very, very important to our relationship and to her.
Yeah, it's not about the things. It's about making her feel like, do you see me? Do you value me? Do you hear me? It's not necessarily about the thing. It's about the person. And understanding that is how you build intimacy. Regarding your relationship, where were you in the relationship, in the marriage? You've been married for nearly 20 years. What was in your personal life and in your marriage, where would you say you are the day that you joined the DivorceStoppers program?
Very lazy, mundane, and almost just given up. She was fed up. She was fed up, tired, and done. She'd been done. Now she had told me 8 years ago she'd had a heart attack.
Wow.
She was done then. heart attack. I sat in the hospital with her for 6 days straight. Left twice just to go shower and come back. She's like, oh, well,
Yeah.
maybe he really does care. So she stuck it out with me for another 7 years, and was like, this isn't working. I've had enough. I'm, over it. So then kind of out of falling out, decided after a few months to work on it again. And that worked for about 6 months. And then we went back to basically how we'd been the whole time until I got into this program.
When you guys were working on it, describe what that looked like. You hear me say all the time, even on YouTube, working on the marriage is exactly what won't work. What did that look like? And what was it about working on it that wasn't working?
So I'd say the first 3 months we decided to work on it actually went really well. She had a list of projects she wanted done. We redid the garage, worked on some stuff in the backyard, did a few home improvement projects. So the first 3 months went really well because that's what we were working on and talking about. As soon as we got those done, then we went back to working on the relationship, talking about all our issues all the time, doing that sort of thing. Went south, downhill. We both had contempt for each other and just a lot of bitterness once we started trying to work on it.
Yeah, because it sounds like you guys pivoted. Actually, you stopped working on the marriage and you guys found these common goals and common interests that you could work towards. The Bible actually says, get a vision, make it plain, write it down, and run to it. It sounds like you guys got some visions of some things that together you wanted to accomplish in your life as a team. You wrote down those and agreed to it, and then you guys ran to those. But once you reach those destinations of achieving a common goal, unless you keep setting those goals, then instead of looking forward towards something that you both want, what'll happen is you start looking at each other. And when you start looking at each other instead of forward together, that's not good. Especially if you don't understand how to look at each other and build intimacy in a new way of communicating with each other so that you can actually move closer into soulmate status. And it's not normal for anybody to know how to do that. And if you don't know how to do it, it's never a good thing when you start looking at each other. If you know how to do it, it's freaking amazing. World-class sex, because it's not about the sex, it's about the connection and the bond and the beauty of the relationship. And that's just doing what naturally happens. So you guys had some common points. You did that. You didn't really understand the communication. She didn't understand it. You didn't understand it. And you didn't know how to build intimacy when you guys started looking at each other. So you did what's normal. You did what's natural, is you aligned your actions with your feelings. And you said, well, there's some issues in the marriage. We must work on those, just like we worked on the flower bed. In the flower bed, that can work, but working on the relationship, it doesn't. So before you came into the DivorceStoppers program, had things escalated to the point that separation and or divorce was knocking at your door?
Yes, there was no intimacy at all. I mean, there was so much tension between us. I'd actually moved into the spare bedroom.
So you guys were doing like an in-house separation?
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
She still had strong feelings. She still wanted it to work, but there was just so much tension between us. I was like, I can't stay in the same bed as you. I'd moved into the spare room. I don't know how much longer we actually would have stayed in the home together if I wouldn't have got on this program.
Gotcha.
Sure, it would have been short-lived,
Did you guys try any other programs or books or therapy or counseling?
No, we tried some books. My wife is big on Joyce Myers and then Mel Robbins. Yep, she's always listened to all those. 16 years ago, when I met her, I was actually the affair partner.
Okay.
So she was always listening to all of those things. She said that's what helped her get through those times, and she's just always been big on them.
Right.
So, I mean, that sort of stuff, but no program or counselors.
That makes sense. So if you hadn't actually had another actual program before you joined, and like 50% of the students do and 50% of the students don't, what was it that made you decide to join the program, even after she kind of said, well, I don't even know what to work on anymore? What caused you to actually join DivorceStoppers?
I just know I didn't want to lose her, so I was searching for something on the internet, on YouTube, just searching. Your site popped up. I watched a couple of your things, and I was just like, for some reason, I was just like, I got to call this number.
Yeah, it connected or it resonated.
Yeah.
Sounds like it resonated
with
wherever you were at.
Yeah, something just told me this is what you got to do. This is the one. So.
Yeah, I have a feeling I know what it was that told you that. So let's rewind just a little bit. You're a new student in the program. You're starting day one. You had a general idea of what something might be like because you probably watched some videos on YouTube, maybe a handful of those. Ask some questions about the program. We asked you some questions to see if you were a good fit. Very good decision on our part. And I hope you would say that the same was true on your end. As you're a new student in the program, you kind of had an idea that this is a little bit a different spin on things, a different approach on the restoration process. As a new student, what surprised you the most about the program when you started it?
I mean, you learn a lot about yourself, right? So I guess the biggest thing is that surprised me is you didn't say, go work on this, work on yourself. You know, the texting rules, this, that, it's all centered on working on you, not working on your wife or a relationship. It's what you can control.
Yeah. And as you start working on the communication, how many weeks or how many days were you as a new student coming into the program where you saw enough changes in yourself and or maybe some changes in your wife where you said, this is going to work? I'm already seeing evidence that that train that was heading to divorce or forever separation, I'm seeing that there's evidence that I've stopped that train heading where I don't want to go. I put it in reverse and it's building up steam going back the other way. When did you see that happen?
Looking back, I can see it was probably 2 or 3 days. At that point in time, it was probably 10 days to 2 weeks before I personally realized it.
Yeah.
Before it clicked in me that, hey, this is happening. I think I listened to 1.3, 1.4 for the 100th time. I just played them on repeat, in my earphones, in the rig, wherever I was. And one of the things that was said on there, it's like, wow, she said that exact same statement. Wow, this is actually going to work exactly how he said it.
Yeah, and you're seeing evidence because it's actually in front of you, right? And then as you're actually implementing those steps, you probably saw her respond the way that we're saying this is how you can expect a response with this new mindset.
Yep.
So yeah, we're giving you examples of certain things to say, but it's not because we're just giving you phrases, it's we're teaching you to think differently so that you actually see her. Maybe I don't know about you, but I was the first student in the DivorceStoppers program. Now it's evolved over the years and become a lot better. But I know for me, I turned the train around in 7 days, doing step 1.1 and 1.2, the way that I did it. And I was almost in disbelief because I'm like, can it be? That's why I say get up every day and put the tie on. This is easy. It was too easy because as men, we're wired from birth that if a man wants to do anything, it's going to have to be hard, no pain, no gain. That's true in every area of your life except marriage. You still got to do the work, but it's the easiest work you'll ever do. Can you share your mindset around that or your thoughts around that?
A lot of you thinking, well, I've got to become the best version of myself if I want my marriage restored. I've got to go change. I've got to go do everything differently. All the stuff that she told me of the reasons she wants out of the marriage, I've got to go change those things. If you've already done all of that, but it hasn't worked, put that in the comments if that's you. Have you become the man that she said she's always wanted, but it's not enough? Maybe you were an alcoholic. Maybe you were a controlling narcissist. Maybe you were a psychopath. Maybe you were verbally abusive. Maybe you weren't intimate with her. Maybe you didn't value her opinion. But now all of a sudden, you do all of those things, but it still hasn't worked. Here's the question. Put in the comments if you have realized that that's not enough. You changing is a beautiful thing, and that's probably a requirement.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be enough to save the marriage if she has confirmation bias.
Yeah.
You've got to lead her to change.
We're wired from birth that if a man wants to do anything, it's going to have to be hard, no pain, no gain. That's true in every area of your life except marriage. You still got to do the work, but it's the easiest work you'll ever do. Can you share your mindset around that or your thoughts around that?
Once you learn the new mindset, it becomes just second nature, right? You're not working at it. It's just part of you. Now when my wife texts me or calls me, like you said, I don't think about her response. It's just, oh, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you. Bring me lunch. That was so nice. Whatever. It's just second nature. Every time I send that text, I can just see her face light up. I've actually texted her sitting in the same room with her parents and, hey, thank you. I appreciate you telling your mom that for me. And as soon as she reads it, she just gets a huge smile on her face.
Yeah.
Now I know how she's going to look every time I send that. And that's just pure joy to me, when I make her that happy.
Man, isn't that the best feeling in the world, to make the person that you love the most and to know that just your words makes them feel good? Like, how does that feel?
I mean, it's what I've always wanted to do for her. I just didn't know how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I do, I just feel whole, just feel happy, right? That's what it's about. I would challenge anyone that is in our program, if you get the chance, to send a text to your wife while you are sitting in the same room with her and just watch her face when she reads it. That's all the proof you'll need.
Yeah, 100%. And that proof can go two ways. If you don't have the right mindset, you might not like the way her face looks because you don't know how to communicate. And if you don't know how to communicate, you don't know what you don't know. And until somebody teaches you how to think differently, the Bible says to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. If that was just common sense, it's not hard. But if you don't find somebody to help you that has had that transformation in their mind before you, to give you practical steps on how to be transformed by the renewing of your mind, how to align your actions, your communication with your goals. So the old version of you that remembers how gut-wrenching it was to look at your wife and know that she's hurting and know that your words have caused the pain, and just literally not knowing what to do to fix it, which how do you fix it? You fix it with words. You fix it with your heart. You fix it with your eyes. And as much as you want to do that, if you haven't been taught how to do that, you're never going to do it. In my first marriage, it was 20 something years. And I can honestly tell you that I'm actually ashamed to admit that I probably never made that wife feel heard, valued, or seen, because I literally did not know how to do it. I didn't. And I thought in my next marriage that's also facing divorce, which is why second and third marriages, like 30% chance second, 10% chance the third. And that's if you don't have kids. If you have kids together and it's blended, those statistical numbers are lower. Well, why? Because in a first marriage with biological children, there were maybe in the second marriage, there's more baggage, and a second relationship is so much harder to navigate than a first relationship, especially if you didn't know how to do it in the first relationship. And now you're trying to figure out how to have a successful relationship in the second one, but you've added a big yellow station wagon with brown paneling on the side full of baggage to it. Like, how do you navigate that if you didn't know how to do it the first time? This is what I mean in my YouTube videos. You might have heard me say this if you've watched it, enough of them, where I was delusional thinking that this magical unicorn was going to cross the road and I was going to hit it. It was going to absorb in my car. And all of a sudden I was going to know how to do this. And I never did. And ultimately a marriage ended in a divorce. And it almost happened twice. What were the specific parts about the program as you were going through step 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, listening to the modules, implementing what we're teaching? What specific parts of the program had the biggest impact on your mindset or your actions?
For a long time, I was just going through the steps, right? I was saying the things that I was supposed to say. I was doing the steps. I was, following everything. But once it actually is in your heart,
Became real.
and you're not just saying the word, it just clicks.
Yeah, that's when it gets real.
You're not just saying, I appreciate you. You're saying, I appreciate you because of this. And you actually mean it, and it's actually you. And you can just see it change in your wife right away once you change your heart.
Yeah. What kind of change would you say you see in her when you change?
As I changed and softened and opened up, she followed me, I'd say, within 12 hours of what I did.
Let me get this straight.
Yep.
Are you actually telling us that one person can single-handedly change themselves and change the mindset of another person?
Yeah, I was doubting that could happen, that I could do that, and there's proof. It's in front of me. I've seen it. Yeah, her actions, her thoughts, her emotions are a direct mirror of mine. There's no way I would have, even with hearing you say it and hoping that would happen, there's no way I would believe it unless I actually saw it like I did.
And the reason for that, I'm guessing, is because it's not normal for anybody to actually do that. It's not normal when a wife wants out of the relationship because she's heartbroken, because she doesn't feel like the man standing in front of her even sees her. She oftentimes feels like she's invisible and you're looking through her, or she feels like you're her child and that you're her father, and she doesn't have the freedom to blossom into the woman that God has created and called her to be. And you're sitting there hurting, in pain, feeling bad about that. But it goes back to what you said. You don't know what you don't know. And I love that you said, if you hadn't seen it yourself, I want to ask you a question about that. Day one, when you come into the program, you know what you want. You have a plan, right? And you think you made a good decision. You're not 100% sure. But day one of the program, the first thing that we do before you even do the first step is you get to see the success of the other students that started before you. Was that helpful to you? And if so, explain that.
Yeah, because you're still a skeptic, right? You know what you want. You're hoping. You want to believe all this is going to happen, but until you actually start seeing the wins are there, you just have to see them and realize them for yourself, and that does take a little
Yeah.
while, even though they are there. And I shared so much on the group because it helped me see the wins myself. A lot of times they were there and I had a hard time seeing them until I wrote it down. I would send my post, I'd reread it, and that actually helped me. So yes, the law of
Process.
reciprocity is real. But to be totally honest, everything that I was doing there was selfish. I mean, it actually helped me more by posting that than it did. I mean, that helped me the most because I'd post it, I'd go back, I'd reread it, and that's when it really sunk into me. And it
Would
is
you
great
say,
having your brother support you.
yeah, it is 100%. Let me ask you a question about that. Would you say the way that you showed up to serve your brothers was that it positioned your mindset of servant leadership to go next level to be reflective in the marriage with your wife, which is one of the reasons I set it up that way? Do you see how that contributed to you leading your wife as a servant leader? And if so, leading that way, what were the changes that you saw that new leadership? What were the changes that you saw that it caused your wife to make as far as giving her the life that she should have?
I mean, the more I make her seen, valued, and I serve her, the more she
Yeah.
wants to serve me, do things for me, right? It's give
Yeah.
and take. The more you give, the more they want to give back to you. Well, reciprocity again, it's you get what you give, correct? In anything in this world. And so the more I serve her, the more she wants to serve me. And then we're not working on the marriage, just trying to make each other happy.
So, Casey, I know I started implementing in my own marriage when it was in trouble. I'm like, I started spending more time with her. I started doing the dishes. I started vacuuming the rugs and some of the stuff that I had really got lazy. And to be honest, I just quit doing completely. And not that I really did a lot of that to begin with, but I thought, well, if I do all these things, it's going to make her happy. For me, doing those things, it made it worse. Can you go out on a limb and speculate on why it made it work? Because we're talking about serving her, but a lot of men listening to this, they're like, well, that's what I'm freaking doing. And it's not helping. Why do you think it's not helping if they're doing that? I mean, I think you and I both know, but I want to hear it in your words.
Well, first of all, yes, you are doing those things, but you're doing them with the wrong attitude and the wrong heart. And then as you're doing them, you're like, hey, look at me. Look what I'm doing. You're putting all the focus on yourself, what you're doing, instead of on her and what she needs.
Yeah, you're doing it for selfish reasons. And I bet there's two guys listening to my words right now, and they're saying, but I'm not doing it for selfish reasons. Well, maybe you're not, but it's not just enough to serve. You've got to also level up in your communication in a way that makes her feel heard, valued, and seen. And so that you don't stay in resentment and confirmation bias yourself, you've got to position your leadership so that your wife actually can see you too and makes you feel like you're not invisible. Otherwise, you're going to resent her because she's not giving you reciprocity for doing the things that you're actually, maybe not intentionally, but you're doing them for selfish reasons. And you can't see yourself enough to see that, but she can see right through that, right, Casey?
Yep.
So for anybody that's confused,
I mean,
go ahead.
women have that, sixth sense. They know what you're feeling, thinking, doing without you even saying it. They just know by just what God gave them, that extra sense. So if you're not doing it with the right heart, they know.
Let me ask you a question, Casey. You keep bringing up the heart, just keeping it simple. As you went through steps 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, 1.4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, did your heart change as you're taking these steps? Did this program change your heart?
Yes, I didn't probably realize it till probably the intimacy letter was the biggest one, but your
Yeah.
heart's slowly changing it's going through the process as well.
There's a Bible verse that says what's intended for your harm, God will use for your good. The intimacy letter that you're talking about, I teach how to practically manifest that scripture in your life. Doesn't matter what your religious beliefs are, it can work regardless of your faith. Do you understand what I mean, though? Is like all the problems of the marriage that counseling will tell you, let's sit down and talk about those problems. Would you say any man right now that's done some really bad things in his marriage, like regardless of what it is, we don't have to go into the details because there's a list of 1,000 things that we could name off, but some of those things have caused deep emotional scars. And yeah, we can talk about, well, you really need communication, but for that man out there that he knows he has scarred his wife's soul, like he's done something really bad and he doesn't even feel like he's worthy of having a relationship with the woman. Can that man change and become the man that she deserves? And then all that shit where he fucked up, can we use that to actually make her feel connected and seen? Can we use the bad for good?
I have another free resource that you can take advantage of right now. My video editor is putting the QR code and the website for this. It's called our free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. You can register for that right now. Now listen, this week we only have a limited number of spots for my live free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. What I want you to do right now is pause this video and scan the QR code that my video editor is putting on the website. If you're watching this on your cell phone, you can go to the comment section and click on the link, or simply type in the website that's on the screen, which is denvergriffin.com/masterclass. Right now, pause the video, go register for that, and then come back, and I'm going to give you a second free resource.
And then all that shit where he fucked up, can we use that to actually make her feel connected and seen? Can we use the bad for good?
Yes, that's one of the reasons this program's work, because we're admitting that stuff, and then we're saying we're going to put it behind us and become better.
Yeah.
We're not actually denying it. We're just saying, hey, I did this. I'm going to fix it. Let me show you.
Yeah, 100%. We use that for the benefit of the marriage instead of the old way, the normal way that doesn't work. We're focusing on the problems instead of focusing on the life and the marriage that we want to move forward. We're teaching you how to stop looking backwards. Looking backwards literally sucks the life out of you. It sucks the life out of your wife, and it sucks the life out of your family and your legacy. It literally will change you. It'll make you resentful, bitter, and lazy. That's why it's looking forward. But do you think that anybody that thinks they've messed up so bad, they've hurt their wife so bad, do we have a good plan of action in the program to help them address that, to deal with it the right way? But do we also have it in a place in step number 8 that the timing of it is appropriately makes sense, in your opinion?
I mean, yes, you can look at all the people who've gone, myself included, and all the people who've gone through your program. I said none of us would be in your program if we didn't have issues, done horrible things, right?
Right.
It's worked for all of us. There's a reason it's there, and yeah, if that's what you want, you can truly fix anything if it's truly what you want.
Did you notice a shift in how your wife responded to you now that you've been through the program? Can you describe the differences in that?
Before the program, everything was very short.
Yeah, before and after. Yeah.
Just very, very short, K, bye, 1, 2 word, most of the sentence. Just really put off, really didn't want anything to do with me. Now it's nothing, shit, 4 or 5 texts in a row, paragraph, everything is happy, upbeat. Yeah, it's better than it's ever been, honestly.
I see the post that you're posting, as you're sharing your journey inside the students only group. And it looks like you guys you're having fun like kids.
One of the best things we've did is going to the gym together. I still go 2 or 3 times a week by myself, but we go twice a week together. And we have so much banter, so much fun. It's the highlight of our week. We're flipping each other's shit, making fun of each other, cheering each other on. Come on, 2 more. You got this. You got this. It almost reminds me of a high school locker room. And it's with my wife and I. And we have so much fun making fun of each other, doing our stretches or lifts or cheering each other on. Or, I mean, honestly, it is the highlight of our week.
Yeah, the gym is a place where you guys connect and really get the dopamine fix together. You found something that was a common interest where you guys can just make marriage fun again. I'll get political for a second.
Yeah.
Make marriage fun again.
She loves wearing all the gym clothes, the tight workout stuff, and we have fun picking out on Amazon together, and it just works for us.
Isn't that an absolutely beautiful thing? And to each their own. But I see some of the pictures that you post, and I recorded another video. Another one of your brothers shared a success this morning, and he was talking about, like, in the beginning, it was fake it till you make it, which we don't preach anything to be fake. But until you actually see that it's real, well, how long does it take to become real? Well, communication, it takes like 1 to 2 days where you see that, wow, this new way I'm talking, of course, eventually it's going to become second nature, because the goal of the program is to teach you to think differently. And the way that we do that is change your heart, which changes your mind. And then that changes what comes out of those lips. And before, the tongue was spewing death into the marriage. And now, through your new mindset, the tongue is pouring life into the marriage, and she's responding to that. True or false? Your wife is blossoming as a woman within your garden, and it's a very beautiful plant. True or false?
Very true.
The old garden that you were taking care of before you came into the program, was your beautiful flower thriving in that garden?
No, it was wilting and dying just like I was.
And it wasn't because that was what you wanted. It was because nobody had ever trained you to be a farmer. What kind of miracle grow, what kind of nutrients, when to water, what kind of sunlight. And every woman is a little bit different, but we teach how to respond and lead those variations in that walk. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes, 1,000%.
All right, so I want to ask you a question in closing here. If there's a guy out there that's watching this video right now, and most likely there will be a few thousand that are watching this video, and that guy has joined another program, or maybe he hasn't, maybe they went to marriage counseling, went and talked to their preacher, they read some Joyce Meyer's books, a really great book of Joyce Meyer's that I recommend. Honestly, it's called Battlefield of the Mind. We teach a lot of those concepts in this program. Very, very good book. I highly recommend that you read that if you're in marriage problems. But if that man is like, he's tried all these things, his wife has tried all these things, and she has got to the place where she is like, I'm done. And maybe even went so far as to file a divorce. They're doing separate bedrooms, maybe even separate houses. And things look grim. And he's about to face a very high emotional price, a legacy price, and even a financial price. Divorce is not cheap. And I like to say divorce is the price that you keep on paying until the day you die for a lot of people. But if you're listening right now, if there's a guy watching this where he's just at the point of basically feeling hopeless because he has stepped up in his leadership and tried so many things, but a lot of it's just made things worse. What would you tell that guy is different about what we're doing inside the Divorce Stoppers program? And if he is on the fence about taking action, how fast should he do something differently? And why should he? Why is this different, what we're teaching here? And what makes sense about somebody taking action, the timing of it? What's your advice to that guy that's feeling hopeless and he's a little bit skeptical?
The biggest thing is if you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling lost, like you have nothing, you're ready to give up, and you want to change, you can. This program will help you do it. It doesn't matter where you're at. If you want to change and you're ready to do it, this program will help you do that, lead your wife, your family, and everyone where you're involved with down that path with you.
100%. This wasn't your case, but there's a lot of men out there right now that's watching this and their wife has a boyfriend. And so I know that even though that maybe not anything you experienced, you have a lot of brothers, 70% of your brothers, they have and are experiencing that. If that guy's watching this video and he thinks, there's no way I can deal with that, what would you tell that guy? Because you've seen what happens with other students in that situation.
Like you said, you say it all the time, we'll take what is meant for your harm and turn it into your good. If you really want to change yourself, you really want your wife back, this program will get you where you need to be if you're willing to change yourself first. Doesn't matter where you're at. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. You can make it happen.
Yeah, 100%. Casey, while you still have the floor, you got a couple thousand people watching you right here. Is there anything else that you want to share before we let you go, my friend? One of the things that's on some of the guys' minds that's watching this is if they're in another program and they've made a bunch of changes themselves, but she still wants a divorce because they haven't seen she's changed at all, should they register for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass and maybe even book a call? Is there a way that he can change her mind?
Yes, you can absolutely change her mind, but you can't work on it. You have to work on yourself and let her follow you.
What I'd like you to do right now is my video editor is putting the website and the QR code. Either scan the QR code if you're watching this on a laptop or another device besides your phone. If you're watching this on a mobile device, go to this link, which is also in the description of the video, denvergriffin.com/masterclass. This week, I'm doing the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass, which is going to help you start taking the initial steps of reversing those 4 things and understanding how do you actually dissolve confirmation bias. We have limited space available this week. Pause the video right now because I still have some more goodies here. Pause the video, register your seat for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. If you go to register and it says there's no seats available, screenshot the QR code in the website and check back every few hours or every couple of days and a seat will eventually open up. And again, if you can relate to anything that I just discussed in this video and if you feel like I'm inside your head, guess what? The reason that you probably feel like I'm inside your head is because I literally was in these exact shoes, and I took my marriage when I was facing an unwanted divorce. I was living in Puerto Rico. I was physically separated from my wife. We were 2,000 miles separated. She was back in Arkansas, had filed a petition for divorce, and she was not having it. She had classic confirmation bias, and I was dealing with all of the things that I'm talking about in this video. I figured out how to restore my marriage, and I'm going to start the process of teaching you how to do that yourself in the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass that you just registered for. Something else that you can do right away if you haven't already done so, train the algorithm that this video is helpful to you by not just pressing the like button, which I would be very thankful if you would do that, but also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button and change the settings to all, so as I'm posting new videos, particularly for subscribers only, that you'll be notified of that in real time. And if you are on the brink of divorce, my video editor is putting up right now this video, Save Your Marriage If You're on the Brink of Divorce. Click this video right now and watch it if you've already registered for the free Marriage U-Turn Masterclass. I'll see you guys on the inside.